great to be in this new studio, Al. It's gorgeous and it's comfortable, and I'm so happy. And we're here, we're going to criticize the horrible debate the Republicans are about to have, where they avoid all the key issues and they just make things up and blame other people. They ignore the fact that on January 6th, the Republicans tried to erase American democracy and take over the government, like Vladimir Putin did, and never give it back. As long as they could hold it, they tried to take it over. And that was Donald Trump and General Flynn and Rudy Giuliani, and they got caught. They got caught. And they got caught. And now the evidence is out. And we've got the evidence, and the evidence has come out, and Fox News just had to pay $787 million to Dominion for lying and cheating and defaming. And that is really heavy because they didn't get beat in court. They chickened out before court and paid the money. And now there's two other cases, at least one other case, going after them for just as much money, using the proof that Fox admitted during that other case against them for double the money. We'll see what they get. But Fox admitted all this stuff, and their records came out. They were subpoenaed, and they came out with lies from Tucker Carlson, and how he hated Trump, and also how he kissed his you-know-what, because he wanted to do good on TV and get ratings and money. But they admitted that they were lying. They admitted that they knew how dangerous Trump was. They knew that he tried to take over the country, not like a president, like a king, like a dictator. Now, people don't think that could happen here in America, but it came darn close to happen, and only a general or two and some military, only a general or two stepped up and said no. And they didn't back up Trump, and they didn't go in. But some generals were for him. And some of the policemen were killed at the scene. They had heart attacks, they were maced, they were injured for life, crippled. It wasn't funny because the Trump traitors went after the government to get them. And he stirred them on by screaming things like fight, 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 and take back your country. But the truth is that he was trying to steal the country for his own pocketbook, for his own glory, for his own ego. Really, really stupid thing to do. And then the Supreme Court of the United States said, and they're a very Republican party, but they said, get out of the White House, get out, you're being evicted. And they threw him out. And Joe Biden moved in, and now the Republicans are trying to throw Biden out and take over the country again, but they won't admit it. But we're going to criticize the debate tonight because it's on Fox News, so it's all fixed in advance. They have 8 Republicans all talking to avoid the fact that they tried to take over America on January 6th. But remember, almost every empire, almost every great country has been taken over at a certain point. So we don't want that to happen in America because these people are really, really bad. They want to be like Putin. They want everything. And as you know, Putin just threw another one of his enemies out the window, so to speak. And the plane crashed, and he happened to be on it. Putin's billionaire friends, who all of a sudden become his enemies, get thrown out hospital windows. In this case, apparently the plane got shot down over Russia, and they say he's dead, even though I'm not sure he's dead, because nobody plays more games and trickery than Putin. He's Russian CIA, KGB. Very, very, very tricky man. He took over his country, and they don't have honest elections anymore now. They own it. Anyway, I have today my guest of honor, Tati, okay, who is a secretary who works for me, and she plays for Hill House, which is a school I went to. I went to a lot of schools. The Hill House was close to my house, and she's my neighbor. So she's here, and she's being a perfectly good person here. I'm trying to get her used to TV cameras. I'm not going to have her talk too much today because she's sort of young for a show like this. But I want her to get used to TV cameras and feel comfortable in front of the TV, because I'm hopefully going to be able to help her develop some sort of public personality or public assets and learn how to go into the media, plus any education, maybe be a lawyer. I definitely want her to go to college. She's my neighbor, her family's wonderful, and me, we're great neighbors. Anyway, so now you know you got 2 of us today, but that's going to be me doing most, if not all, of the talking. Now in a few minutes they're going to start this debate, but they're holding it up because the guy who got killed over there in Russia was a big murderer around the world. He had attacked Ukraine, and he attacked Russia. He attacked Russia a few months ago with his soldiers, and they came within 125 miles of Moscow, maybe less, and they were going to take over Moscow. But all of a sudden he said, oh no, we're going to make a peace treaty. So I don't know what happened, but for some reason why all of a sudden he gave up. And then a month or two later, pop, that's it for him. Can you imagine being a billionaire and getting thrown out of your hospital window? They threw some out. Another billionaire they shot dead in his living room with his daughter. Another one who wasn't a billionaire, they blew up his car with his daughter in it. Those guys over there in Russia, they make us look like angels. So anyway, and Biden, of course, pulled out of our last war. He took our troops home. We no longer have guys and girls coming back in body bags because he made peace in Afghanistan. And Obama made peace in Iraq. And George Bush and Cheney, the Republicans, they started two 20-year wars. And now America's out of those wars, finally, after 20 years. It was too much. And Ukraine's at war, but the United States is not in it, which is very good. Biden's smart not to get involved in that war, because Russia's equipment is so lousy, and they can't make stuff like we do. So we're sending stuff over there to help the Ukrainians who have been invaded by Russia, and they're using it, and Russia is absolutely being humiliated. And they're trying to overthrow Putin, but he's not so easy to overthrow because, like I said, he'll throw you out a window. Yep, that's what's going on. And they actually are going to start this now. There are 8 people running for president in the Republican Party that are in the debate tonight. Most of them are like senators, ex-senators, governors. None of them are any good. They all have lousy records in their states. They all flunked this common sense test, and they're all very pro things that don't work, like lies in your history classes, and higher taxes on the poor, lower taxes on the rich, and less civil rights for people who want to speak freely. I'll tell you who they are. You have President Trump running, but he's not going to show up at the debate. I'm not sure if he's afraid of it or what. I know tomorrow he has to turn himself into jail. They're going to arrest him on Thursday because of one of the things. But he's already under 3 indictments before this. So this will be his 4th. I wonder whether it's on another station.
It might be on another station.
See that these TVs are tricky. Anyway, we can keep going. I'm doing good.
Okay.
Unless you see what you can figure out.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, back to this. So President Trump has now been brought of 4 grand juries in different parts of the country. Georgia, which is the South, New York, Washington, D.C., Florida, and all 4 grand juries indicted him on crimes. I'm sure he's up with charges in 4 states. Now these grand juries, they're not just like right-wing or left-wing or Democrats or Republicans or white or black. They're mixed. And all those grand juries found that Trump had to go to trial and that he should be arrested. Imagine that. Imagine that. That's really a bad sign when you're 0 for 4. You figure 1 or 2 of them might have let him go. But no, all 4 wanted him in court for trial and under indictment, which means that he has to post bond too. I think he just posted a $200,000 bond. And the judge warned him, you stop saying those crazy, mean things you say, or I'm gonna treat you like anybody else. Just the President of the United States is not a king. The President is not a king. And you are not President anyway. So she's tired of this crap. And there's some other judges too that some of them are giving him a lot of breaks. But basically at this point he's being treated like a regular person, even though he's getting some breaks. Also today, Mayor Rudy Giuliani, who was called America's mayor, but went nuts and started lying like crazy for Donald Trump all over the country, he got arrested today in Georgia. There are like 18 people got arrested on these charges for conspiring to do fraudulent things and violate racketeering laws in Georgia. So there's 18, many of them are lawyers. Like Rudy's a lawyer. Donald Trump used to be president. And a whole bunch of them, one of them today flipped. He was a head maintenance guy, groundskeeper, security at Mar-a-Lago, which is Trump's home base. He has a big club that he lives in, and he has it to himself, and he has members there. But anyway, he was being paid money. His lawyer was being paid by Trump's team, and he said, "No, you're going to get me in big trouble, making me suck up to Trump and protect him. I'm firing you, and I'm getting a public defender, and I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth that Trump was involved. He was involved, and here is how he was involved." So we've got obstruction of justice arguments too. This is very, very revealing, because now they have a whole lot more Republican snitches who are turning on Trump because they don't want to go to jail. So it's interesting to see how many more have to turn on him, and then how's he going to go to court? The last trial he had with E. Jean Carroll, where he lost $5 million a couple of months ago, and now it's more. I think they added another $10 million to it. He lost $5 million. He didn't even show up for the trial. He was afraid to testify. So he lost that case too. And then after the case was over, he went out and defamed her again, and I think the judge said, "I'm adding another $10 million to it." But I'm not sure about that, but I know they're adding more. And there was just a case in Philadelphia and New Jersey. The case was in Philadelphia, but the judge was in New Jersey, federal court, where the jury awarded $25 million, much of it in punitive damages, against Starbucks for screwing over its assistant manager. $25 million, and that like woke up the world for being a racist, and then it got real confusing. Recently, this week or so, but in the end of August, so to speak, the judge said, "I don't think it's enough. I'm giving her $2.7 million more because I don't think there was enough lost wages in there, because most of it was punitive. But her lost wages are a lot more now. Her future earnings are injured. So now it's a 27.7, a little bit more, maybe $27.9 million award." Isn't that something? Because they screwed her over on racism, and it's a very conflicted case. But you want to Google it and you'll see it's sort of a reverse racism case. Fascinating law. So if any of you have been screwed over by bosses on racist grounds, if you're white or black, if they're racist towards you, you might have a big case. You got to get a lawyer. Which means that I also want to tell you that the broadcast on Fox has been delayed on this television in this studio, so we're not going to watch it right now. But I'm doing a riff now on the debates anyway, because they're so predictable. That's why they're on Fox News, because Fox News is like part of the Republican Party. So they always cover up for the Republicans when they make their mistakes. For instance, all of these people debating tonight, including Trump, who's not there, all 9 of them who want to be president of that party, none of them came out early and said, "Watch out for this disease. This disease is very dangerous." But Joe Biden, who was not president, he was retired at the time, he came out and said, "Watch out, these diseases are running rampant, and you have to get the doctors in place now so we can be protected." But Trump didn't listen. And he didn't order a lot of masks. We needed 2 billion masks. And he didn't tell the people, "Watch out, if you get sick and you go home, the disease may kill your mother. It may give your baby brain damage. It may kill your father. It may kill your mother and her sister, your aunt. So don't get this disease. Pay attention." These Republicans, all 8 of them, as far as I can see, did not warn their followers. They let them get sick and they let them go home and kill their mothers. They also didn't stand up for the doctors who were saving their lives. These doctors were in there night and day trying to save them. And that's Mike Pence talking. He was a big part of covering up the disease too. That was his job. He was the head of the coronavirus task force. He was supposed to stop it. But he didn't stand up and say to Trump, "President Trump, teach your people to wear masks." He didn't tell them, "You have to save us from this. You have to isolate. If you get the disease, you should make sure you don't go to other people." He didn't warn everybody. That's exactly what his job was. He didn't warn us, the people. He was supposed to protect our health, our families. You know, this disease caused brain damage in millions of people, millions around the world, and heart disease, and these people are going to live with it maybe the rest of their life. So when they talk about it, and don't forget, the Republicans say that Trump had a good economy until he smashed it to ribbons when all the stores closed. We couldn't buy stuff in the supermarket. There was no Lysol. There were no plastic bags. There were no masks. They ran out because they didn't plan right. They let the people die. That's nasty stuff. Here they are talking about how stabilizing the U.S. dollar. What happened under the Republicans, and every Republican president for over 100 years, every single one had a recession in their first term. When the Republicans get in, look it up. Republicans get in, the economy goes right down the first term, and we have recessions, and we can't get out for a while. Sometimes we have 2 or 3 recessions in their term. Under Eisenhower, we had 3 recessions. Under President Bush, we had 2 recessions. Under Trump, he was only in for 1 term. We had one huge wipeout of the economy on coronavirus, and he let it in. It came right in through customs. It didn't swim in. He let people in from China. He said, I'm cutting off China. But he lied. He lied again. He lied 30,000 times. He let China come in, not just Chinese, but Americans in China came back and brought it with them. He should have warned us that these people are coming in sick. You know who got sick first when they came in? When those Americans came back from China with the disease, they gave it to their families. But even before that, they gave it to the customs workers because they were giving them passports and stuff. And those customs workers got sick because they were dealing with people all day from the virus. That's how America got sick and died. And that was on Trump because he had to control the borders. He talked about the borders a lot, but he let the virus just pour in. Oh, look, now they're blaming Fauci. But Trump at first, he could have fired Fauci. He could have arrested him first he was lying. But Fauci, if he was lying, Trump would have arrested him. President Trump, why didn't you arrest Fauci if he was lying? And Mike Pence, you're running for president. You were vice president. Why did you arrest Fauci? I'll tell you why. Because they couldn't arrest Fauci because he wasn't the one who was lying. They were. That's a fact. It's so easy because they couldn't arrest him. Nope. They said they were going to arrest Hillary. Nope. They said lock her up. Nope. They lied. They said they were going to arrest Joe Biden. Nope. They said Biden stole money. They were president 4 years and vice president, attorney general. They didn't arrest Biden. Now they're saying he should be arrested. Tell me what sounds wrong with that. They're all talk, no action, but when they do something, they steal. Like they want to put up the hotel in Moscow so he can make money because he loves Putin. He called Putin a genius, right? So then their secret papers came out. It's like he wants to do business with these dictators, but he acts like he doesn't like them. Big phony. So anyway, we caught these people. And they're talking about the budget now after they set every single American economy into recession. I can name them. You ready? We had President Taft. He had a recession in his first period. Roosevelt had it in his first after he got out. Then he came back, he had a recession. Before that, he had the money panic. Right, then you have President Calvin Coolidge. He had a recession in his term. Warren Harding, a Republican, he had a recession, and he had the Teapot Stone ripoff where they robbed billions in today's money. Then we have President Hoover, the Republican. We had the Great Depression, and that led to World War II. The Great Depression was worse than a recession. It was a super recession. The Great Depression wiped out America for 10 years. People were starving to death. People had no money. They were sleeping. 25% unemployment. People didn't have jobs. Now everybody has a job in one place. 25% unemployment. That's a record. All right, and that the country world was so poor that it led to World War II because the other countries were poor too. And that was the worst war ever. And then after that, we had President Eisenhower, the Republican. We had 3 recessions under President Eisenhower. 3. We didn't have one start under Obama. We didn't have one start under Clinton, but we had three under Eisenhower. Then we had President Kennedy, we had President Lyndon Johnson, then we had Nixon. Boom, recession the first term. Another Republican. These guys are a joke. They're not good with the economy. They bring us right into a recession. Then after him, we had President George Bush the father. He's in one term. In the first term, boom, we get a recession. So the country elected Clinton to get us out of the recession. Clinton's in president 8 years, no recession. None, zero. No wars, no recession. That's called a good job. He stopped the genocide where they were killing all the Muslims for no reason in Europe, and he stopped that, but we didn't lose one soldier, not one soldier, and we didn't have a recession. Then we have Trump, then we have George W. Bush, the son. He's a businessman. They say, oh, that's good, he's a businessman, let him run the country. Well, he comes in, boom, we have a recession. Another Republican, another recession right away, and then we have another recession under him. We call it the Great Bush recession. It was horrible, and that was George Bush Jr. with the recession number 2. They sucked. Then we had Obama come in, he fixes the recession, and we don't have any recessions under Obama. Great job, Barack, great job. The greatest, the longest economic expansion of all time. So President Trump comes in to replace him. Boom, the end of the economic boom, and a new recession in his first term. That's why he's only got one term, because of the recession and the disease. Man, they're the worst on the economy. They suck. Who the hell would vote for a recession? Imagine that you're a baseball team owner, and you have a manager, and the manager says, this is the World Series, like the presidency. And you see the manager in the big game saying, get in there and bat. And the batter is batting 0, because every time he comes in, he strikes out. If you're the owner, you're going to scream, you're fired, to the manager. You can't send in amateurs like that get your recession. You got to send in the pros. It's really that simple. Back to the debate, which stinks, because they're all lying. And I guarantee that too, by the way. I guarantee it. And I can prove it. They're talking about human behavior, climate change. Any doubt? Florida, the governor of DeSantis is running for president, the governor of Florida. Trump lives in Florida, brags about Florida. Florida has floods every day. Miami is going underwater, the rising tide from the ice caps, it's literally going underwater, and very fast. It has 100-degree water in the ocean, 100 degrees. That's so hot, it's unbelievable. Talk about ruining nature, coral reef, fish, ruining nature. 100-degree water in Florida. That's sick. That's sick. That's sick, that's so unhealthy. And the poison in the water down there, the algae and everything, they're not taking care of the environment. So that's why. But President Trump, who claimed he was pro-oil, when it came to oil fields in the water off of his mansion and his clubs, he said no drilling over here. No drilling where he has property. The rest of the country can have oil spills and floods. But when it comes to oil near his property, no drilling over here. Now that's what you call a giant phony. But we caught him. So now he has very low ratings too. But the Republican Party he might win, but he couldn't win with the grand juries. He lost one in New York, he got indicted. He got indicted in D.C., he got indicted in Florida, he got indicted in Georgia. And I know he's under arrest in all those places. Phenomenal, phenomenal.
That's a skinny guy with an odd last name doing up here was Barack Obama, and I'm afraid we're dealing with the same type of amateur standing the same tonight.
They're talking about amateurs. Amateurs. They're amateurs are the pro-crooks. That was another thing about Trump. He didn't have any experience being in government. He was a businessman, which meant he would crash the economy too. Trump didn't have public health experience, so he didn't know that the virus coming in was as serious as the doctor told him it was. His doctor said, this is serious stuff. You got to knock it out. You got to keep it out of our ballpark, out of our house. But he let it in, and 1 million Americans died, more than 1 million. And he admits that more than 1 million died. At first he tried to say it was fake. So more people got it because they thought it was fake, because they believed him. He was their president. As this disease was coming in, he was supposed to yell, be careful everybody, the disease is coming, protect yourself. But instead, he did the opposite. like Paul Revere warned us that the British are coming to attack our patriots. The British are coming, the British are coming. Trump said the British went away, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. Next thing you know, the virus is here killing everybody. 1 million people is more than we lost in all our wars put together. It's more than we lost in the Revolutionary War. It's more than we lost in the War of 1812 too. It's more than we lost in the Mexican War combined. It's more than we lost in the Civil War. More than all those put together. It's more than we lost in the Spanish-American War. It's more than we lost in World War I combined. It's more than we lost in World War II combined. It's more than we lost in the Korean War. Add them all up. It's much more we lost to COVID. It's more than we lost in Vietnam. And it's more than we lost in Iraq and Afghanistan. That's how many more people died during this disease because he let it in and he didn't tell us, protect yourselves. My doctor friends told me, my science friends said to me, watch out. My friends in China warned me and they said, be careful, Irving, this thing's killing a lot of us. It's very tricky disease. And they say 1 million is a lot, but the Republicans don't say this. You know, we're very lucky that it didn't mutate again, much worse. It could have killed everybody. Viruses can't kill all people. Some people are immune to some. But it hasn't been proven that a virus can't mutate and kill everybody. That's why you keep them the hell out. And he didn't. He let it come in through our borders. That's a failure. F. And F this big. F. Right? And I'm not saying a curse word. I'm saying F for failure. Yeah. So anyway, so these guys are lying to each other. And they hate each other because they all want the job. But don't forget, they're not all running for president. They're looking to steal your donations, like Trump steals the money. And Pence, they're looking to get donations from the poor and from the rich. And the people want to pay them bribes, like Clarence Thomas and Alito. They're getting bribed by billionaires and they're on the Supreme Court. And they say it's legal, but it's not, but that's the way it is. Same thing with Trump now. He's selling everything to all the people who need favors from him because he might win again. So that's the story. Anyway, it was wonderful doing the show. I have a statement from a friend of mine, a great friend of mine in Maryland. For 40 years he was a labor guy in New Haven. He protected the railroad workers. Wonderful, wonderful guy. His name is Gary Hobson, very smart, self-made. So he said, Irving, shut that off. Thank you. Irving, please read this into the record. Comments from Gary Hobson, 40 years of labor leader at the New Haven Railroad. 40 years Gary worked here. He's finally, I think, retired a little bit, but I'm sure he's still active because Gary don't quit. He don't quit. He's not a lawyer, but he's trained in labor disputes. What we have seen and continue to see is chaos within the GOP. This may not be a coincidence. It's the clear aim of our enemies to create chaos in America. You will recall Nikita Khrushchev's promise that we will destroy ourselves. So how is this being accomplished? First, you enlist an unknowing and naive narcissist to run for office. Trump really didn't know the business. That's why he let in the COVID, and that's why he crashed the economy anyway. And that's why he put all those creeps and thieves into the government and they stole all the money. But you knew it was going to happen. What do you think those guys are going to do? Turn on us? And a lot of them are in jail now, and the others are going. 18 were just unbelievable. So how is this being accomplished? First, you enlist an unknowing and naive narcissist to run for office. I told you some of that. Next, you help him out with money and propaganda. See, they finance him big time so he can propagandize. Then, once in power, you compliment him. He's a narcissist after all, so you kiss his you-know-what. And promise cooperation. Second, you feed him more hatred, following the strategy of any dictator. Create fear, create scapegoat, and offer the solution. The solution, which is a terrible thing, and here he says it, he says how bad it is white nationalism. Because Trump ran a racist policy and made it very hard for African Americans to get a fair shake. So this narcissist tries to repeat but loses. He did lose big time. He lost by 7 million votes. Then when he loses, the foundation has been laid for false claims of actual voter fraud. Now here he is lying like hell because they are admitting now that there was no fraud. Even Fox News admitted it. That's, I think, one of the reasons why they paid $787 million. And we're going for more, by the way. This is, I'm a lawyer in New Haven, and I practice. Well, anyway, I don't want to talk about me. I'm talking about this. If you have any news stories, send me your news stories at 1-800-YES-FOR-LAW. I need news stories. Or you can Facebook me and send me stories there. So this narcissist tries to repeat but loses, but he carefully predicted that his loss would be the result of fraud. Then, when he loses, the foundation has been laid for false claims of actual voter fraud. He uses this to whip up a frenzy. And why are his followers so willing to believe him? Because he has made it acceptable, even admirable, to hate immigrants, to hate people of color, to hate Islamics, to hate even dead soldiers. So now, where are we now? GOP candidates are in the dais. They're over there talking, recognizing the ignorance and hate of the American people will not stand up to the monster. They know they can get away with this ignorance and hate. Save one or two, but we all know the consequences. Liz Cheney, for example, she got fired. So to emulate the monster, we have a governor who advocates shutting down school library science. Shutting down library science, not school library science. Dictating school curricula and stiffing women and LGBTQ rights. LGBTQ rights. He is not alone. In other words, they're conspiring against these minorities. Most disturbing is the creeping tide of Republican state legislatures, curbing or even eliminating voting rights. Now, this is a good point, that people around the country have to vote local too, not just in the federal, because they're stealing the governments of those places. You will not see much of this addressed at this debate, and that is what is wrong. The debate will only elevate the division in this country, created out of lies promoted by the rich and our enemies, and lead us further away from greatness. Edit as you please, he told me. Well, anyway, he's a great guy, Gary, and everybody says actually looks true. They go after minorities, but I think that the country has this resilience that can overcome the short-term charisma of Trump. It showed all these court cases that he loses like crazy. Just show that the people are not buying it anymore. So I hope we're doing good. Tati, are you doing it right there? You don't seem too nervous in front of the camera. Don't say anything. You're good here. I don't want her to talk because she's young, 16, and I want her to be good. But I'm trying to figure out a way to make somebody comfortable in front of the TV cameras. So that's what we're doing. See, when I'm mansplaining everything, I can bore her to death. Anyway, everybody, thank you for listening. And if you have any news stories, send them to me on Facebook, at my Facebook accounts, and you'll find me real easy. And putting up a website, and we'll have some fun. Thank you for watching the show. Goodbye now.